I'd like to share with you that action. We all live our lives because we want to achieve something, correct? We are here and we want to have something. Alex wants to have a successful conference. Many of you want to bring programs to your companies that are very successful. You want to progress, have more money, all of that. Is that correct? Excuse me. Each of that is an outcome. You would like something to happen. Now, I'd like you to think about the following. Actions are within your control, not entirely, but to a large extent. The outcome is completely out of your control. Okay? Actions are within your control. The outcome is completely outside your control. Have any of you recognized that when you have a goal and you start to work towards it, some of the time you don't achieve your goal, and some of the time what you get is the exact opposite of what you wanted? Has that happened to any of you? Like there was a friend of mine who's said, gee, I have not been paying a lot of attention to my wife, and this has to change. So the next time we went on a business trip, he bought a very expensive dress for her. And this was his way of showing, I care for you, and he hoped nice things would happen. And when he presented the gift to his wife, her immediate reaction was, after 20 years of marriage, you don't know my size? And furthermore, don't you know I never wear this kind of thing? And the next thing you know, you had a full-blown marital spat. Has that happened to any of you? You've taken action for a particular outcome, and the outcome you got was the exact opposite of what you wanted? Happens all the time. But we live in a world where what we think of, what we invest in, is the outcome. We define our life in the following way. Here I am, here's where I want to go, these are the steps I have to take in order to get from where I am to where I want to go. And if I succeed, life is wonderful. And if I don't, then I have failed. Life is no good. Life sucks. True? False? That is how we live. We invest in the outcome, and as I've just pointed out, the outcome is frequently different from what we would like, and sometimes the diametric opposite of what we would like. You invest in the outcome, and you are guaranteed to have more than your share of frustration, angst, and all the rest of the stuff that makes life suck. There is an alternative. And the alternative is that you do not invest in the outcome, you invest in the process. And the best way to describe that is a quote by John Wooden. I don't know how many of you are familiar with John Wooden. He's very well known in the United States and certainly among basketball fans. He's the only person ever to make the Basketball Hall of Fame, both as a player and as a coach. And what he told his entering team, he led UCLA to an unprecedented number of victories and finals in the NCAA. And what he used to tell any new team is he never spoke about winning. He always said, when it's over and you look in the mirror, did you do the best that you were capable of? And if you did the best that you were capable of, the score doesn't matter. But I suspect that if you did the best that you were capable of, you will find the score to your liking. That is investing in our process. What we do is the exact opposite. We invest in the outcome. This is what I want. Oh, I want it so desperately because if I get it, I will be happy. And you try with might and main to do whatever you can, but you are always focusing on this is the outcome. Now, focusing on the outcome is fine. It gives you direction. Investing in the outcome means that you make the achievement of a particular outcome dependent for your well-being, and that is a surefire recipe for failure. What you can do is something else. You can invest in the process. That is, once you have determined, here is where I am, here is where I want to be, and that's fine. You focus on the outcome only to the extent that it gives you direction, and then you invest yourself completely in the process. You say, here are the steps you want to take, and you put everything into it. And if you succeed, wonderful. And if you don't succeed, still wonderful. Because now you have a new starting point. From that new starting point, you select another outcome and keep going. And when you do that, you will find that every day is a blast. Let me give you an example. And if you have children, raise your hands if you have children. Have you ever seen a small child learn to walk? What happens, and this happens typically between 11 and 13 months, is the child gets up and, she sees everybody walking. She wants to walk. She gets up. She falls down. She starts crying, and mama runs up and, comforts her, kisses the place, makes it well. She tries again, falls down. Mommy runs up again. After some time, mommy, feels tired and no longer runs up, and the child stops crying. And then she gets up and takes a step and, doesn't fall down. And then she takes another. A beautiful smile comes on her face. And very soon, generally within 24 hours, she's walking all over the place, upsetting your living room arrangements. And you've gone to a new stage of parenting, right? Now, imagine what would happen if each time the child fell, she would say, "Oh my God, I failed again. I'm never going to learn to walk." And you have to get counseling for her to help her deal with feelings of inadequacy and not being able to, achieve and, failed yet again. How long do you think it would take her to walk if you had to do that? Every 3 times she fell down, you have to get a counselor to, counsel her and so on. Sounds funny, isn't it? But that is exactly what we're doing. What the child is doing is she is focusing on the process. She's investing in the process, not in the outcome. What we do is the exact opposite. As we grow up, we lose the ability to invest in the process. We start investing in the outcome. By definition, the outcome is outside of our control. And if that's where we spend all our emotional energy, we are going to get drained as we do. But if, on the other hand, we said, here is the outcome, I'm going to invest in the process and give it every single bit I could, every day is a blast. And you're well on your way to achieving the vision that I outlined to you. The question that I get all the time is persons say, "Professor Rao, but nothing makes me passionate." So I said, okay, what would? And they invariably come up with, here is a list of things. Here's my job, and here's how much it pays, and this is the kind of person my boss is, and these are the kind of people my colleagues are, and here's how my customers are, and here's how much I travel, and here's how big my office is, and here's how deep the carpeting is, and here's how many windows I have. Bunch of parameters. And what I tell them is what I want to share with you, because all of that stuff, first of all, it doesn't exist. But second, even if it did and you were plugged into it, it would not take more than 6 months for you to be the same sorry, miserable self there as you are now. Because passion exists inside you. It does not exist in the job. And if you don't find a way to ignite it within you, right where you are not going to find it outside. But if you do find a way to ignite it where you are, then you will find that the external world rearranges itself to accommodate the new person that you are becoming. And as you do that, you will find that miracles happen on a regular basis. Persons come up whom you're delighted to meet, new people enter your life. It's just a breeze. Because all you do in your life is you take journeys. You came here to this conference, you went on a journey. You hang around the water cooler talking about how terrible your place of work is, you went on a journey. You watch Desperate Housewives, you go on a journey. You go on a journey where 40-something women are having affairs with 19-something gardeners while the husbands are playing around with models. All you do is go on journeys. There's nothing wrong with that, but just ask yourself, is this a journey I want to take? Does this take me to a place I want to spend time? And if you start doing that, you will find that your life changes. The kind of people you meet, the things you talk about, the movies you go to, the books you read, everything changes. And you begin all of that by focusing on the process. Invest in the process, not in the outcome. Thank you.